Anne van der Bijl, known in English-speaking countries as Andrew van der Bijl, brother Andrew, is a Christian missionary famous for his exploits smuggling Bibles to communist countries in the height of the Cold War, a feat that has earned him the nickname, God Smuggler. The Van der Bijl studied at the WEC Missionary Training College in Glasgow, Scotland. Early life. Andrew van der Bijl was born in St. Pancras, the Netherlands, and was the fourth of 10 children born to a poor, near-deaf blacksmith and an invalid mother. He told John Sherrill and Elizabeth Sherrill, when they transcribed his memories into God Smuggler, "From the day I first put on wooden shoes, clomp and we call them in Holland, I dreamed of daring do." Conversion to Christianity. The Van der Bijl recounts to the Sherrill spouses in God Smuggler how, post-World War II, he enlisted in the colonial army of the Dutch East Indies during the rebellion that would eventually form the nation of Indonesia, and that this first venture into daring-do initially had unpleasant results, for he endured a period of severe emotional stress whilst serving as a soldier. He was wounded in the ankle during the fighting. During his rehabilitation, he read the Bible obsessively, eventually converting to Christianity. Visits to communist countries. In July 1955, Van der Bijl visited communist Poland to see how my brothers are doing, referring to the underground church. He signed up to a communist youth group, which was the only legal way to stay in the country. In that time, he felt himself to be called to respond to the biblical commission, "Wake up, strengthen what remains and is about to die." This was the start of a mission leading him into several communist-ruled countries where Christians were persecuted, those behind the Iron Curtain, where religions like Christianity were actually tolerated but technically illegal. In 1957, Van der Bijl traveled to the Soviet Union's capital city, Moscow, in a Volkswagen Beetle, which later became the symbol of open doors. The organization he founded, an older couple that mentored him, had given him the new car because it could hold several Bibles and spiritual literature. Although Van der Bijl was violating the laws of some of the countries he visited by bringing religious literature, he often placed the material in plain view when stopped at police checkpoints, as a gesture of trust in God's protection. This was the penultimate realization of his childhood dreams of daring do. The Van der Bijl visited China in the 1960s, after the Cultural Revolution had created a hostile policy towards Christianity and other religions. It was the time of the so-called Bamboo Curtain. He came to Czechoslovakia when the suppression by Soviet troops of the Prague Spring had put an end to relative religious freedom there. He encouraged fellow believers there and gave Bibles to Russian occupying forces. During that decade, he also made his first visits to Cuba after that country's revolution. In 1976, some African countries came under atheist rule. He wrote a book about the spiritual struggle on this continent, and in congresses called upon local Christian leaders to strengthen their communities. God Smuggler. In 1967, Van der Bijl published the first edition of God Smuggler, written with John and Elizabeth Sherrill. God Smuggler tells the story of Van der Bijl's early childhood, conversion to Christianity, and adventures as a Bible smuggler behind the Iron Curtain. By 2002, it had sold over 10 million copies in 35 languages. Middle East. After the fall of communism in Europe, Brother Andrew shifted his focus to the Middle East and has worked to strengthen the church in the Islamic world. In the 70s, he visited war-torn Lebanon several times, stating that global conflict in the end times will focus on Israel and its neighboring countries. Light Force and Secret Believers. In the 90s, Van der Bijl went to the region several times again. In the book Light Force, Van der Bijl tells about Arab-owned Lebanese churches in Lebanon, Israel and Israeli Arab areas that express great delight because of the mere visit of a fellow Christian from abroad, because they feel the church in the Western world at large is ignoring them. Likewise, he and a companion, Ali Jensen, visited Hamas and PLO leaders including Ahmed Jassan and Yasser Arafat, handing out Bibles. Further on, there is a portrait of a project called Musallaha, which was founded by the Palestinian evangelical leader Salam Munir. Musallaha's name is an Arabic word which translates as reconciliation, and it attempts to bring closer together Israelis and indigenous Israeli Arabs. The Van der Bijl's seventh book, called Secret Believers: What Happens When Muslims Believe in Christ, was released on July 1, 2007. Bibliography: Brother Andrew, Cheryl, John, Cheryl, Elizabeth. God Smuggler. Chosen Books. ISBN 0800793013. Brother Andrew. The Ethics of Smuggling. Tyndale House Publishers. Brother Andrew Jackson, Dave Jackson, Netta. A Time for Heroes. Vine Books. ISBN 0892833955. Brother Andrew. Devor Williams, Susan. And God Changed His Mind. Chosen Books. ISBN 0800792726. Brother Andrew. Becker, Vern. The Calling. Revel. ISBN 0800758382. Brother Andrew Jansen, Tal. Light Force. Revel. ISBN 0800718720. Brother Andrew. Cheryl, John, Cheryl, Elizabeth, featuring Jars of Clay. The Narrow Road. Stories of those who walk this road together. Baker Publishing Group. ISBN 0807579339. Brother Andrew Jansen, Tal. Secret Believers. What Happens When Muslims Believe in Christ. Fleming H. Revel. ISBN 08073264-2.